we crave acceptance and understanding. Rejection and criticism do not feel good, and we often react with defense mechanisms, trying to protect us from the negative feelings that come from being judged. Which means that sometimes we miss information that would really help us grow. Maybe historically, rejection, criticism, and judgment by teachers inspired people to grow. Maybe. But nowadays, it often has the opposite effect, inspiring negative thoughts, poor self image, rebellious behavior, and apathy. Instead, today's best educators are using techniques like positive reinforcement, empathy, normalization, and validation, techniques borrowed from the mental health profession. In psychotherapy terms, validation happens when the therapist communicates acceptance and understanding of their clients, while normalization takes place when the therapist provides examples of how the client's issues are part of a normal process. And while the particulars are always unique, the mechanisms are not. I'm convinced that this week's Parsha offers validation and normalization to all members of Klal Yisrael, and perhaps the entire world. Validation and normalization of a struggle that we often pretend is not a struggle. The struggle between man and God. Yaakov Avinu is on his way to meet his twin brother Esav. He hasn't seen him for 22 years, and the last time they were in touch, Esav threatened to kill him. The night before the reunion, Yaakov goes back across a river to retrieve some of his belongings, and after the Torah tells us that he was completely alone, he suddenly ends up fighting for his life with a mysterious being. The pasuk describes this being as a man, but Chazal tell us it was Sarah Shel Esav, Esav's guardian angel. But Yaakov believes that it was Hashem himself, and that's why he names that place Peniel. And amazingly, the pasuk shares with us Yaakov's reason for giving that name as a quote. I have seen Elohim face to face, yet my life was saved. Therefore, I am naming this place Peniel. Some commentaries translate Elohim as a divine being. But for this Torah, I'm going with the late Lord Rabbi Jonathan Sacks, who translated it literally. Yaakov names the place Peniel, meaning the place I struggled with God, struggled with Hashem, the creator of the universe, and survived. Whenever I see or hear emunah and bitachon, belief and faith in Hashem, presented in black and white, I do not have to wonder how that makes people who struggle in these areas feel. I do not have to wonder because I have struggled with emunah and bitachon. And if we are really honest about it, don't most of us? Emunah and bitachon consist of a lifelong continuum, not a simple yes, I believe, or no, I do not believe. Black and white presentations on these topics make me feel inadequate, disconnected, like I am flawed for having these struggles. But this week's Parsha validates me, and I believe it validates you too. Because Yaakov does not only survive the struggle with Hashem, it is encoded into the new name that Hashem gives him, a name which today continues to describe all of us, his descendants, Yisrael, as Hashem tells him, Yisrael, because you have sarisa im Elohim, you have struggled with Hashem. Life is difficult. It involves struggle. Belief and faith are difficult too. They too involve struggle. It is part of our spiritual DNA to struggle with these things. Educators who speak of these things as if they are assumed, as if they are black and white decisions to make, ignore the fact that the Torah validates these struggles with Hashem. They ignore the fact that we are named for this struggle. They ignore the fact that life is complicated, difficult, and messy, and we cannot ultimately pretend otherwise. My belief and faith today are very, very different than they were when I was a child. They are different than they were last year. I travel along the continuum of emunah and bitachon, like I suspect most of us do, whether we admit it to ourselves or not. I continue in the proud heritage of my people, the people named for the struggle with Hashem, named as a validation and normalization of that struggle. I am a proud member of the people known as the people of the struggle, the B'nai Yisrael. Have an amazing, connected Shabbos.